Today I am going to put 3 classic literature vampires through a Mary Sue litmus test to prove a point. Our literary vampires are Lord Ruthven, who is widely regarded as the first literary vampire. He is from The Vampire, written by John Polidori, published 1819. Our second candidate is Carmilla, aka Countess Karnstein, from the novel Carmilla, written by Sheridan Le Fanu, published 1871. And our third vamp is the big man himself, Count Dracula, from Dracula, by Bram Stoker, published 1897. But why, Alicia? Those aren't Mary Sue's. You are correct, dear viewer. I will explain. Some time ago, I had one of my characters take a Mary Sue litmus test for the funsies. There's a particular question in this test that relates to vampires, and it highlights a bias some people have towards vampires that makes no sense, and is often spouted by people who know almost nothing about vampire folklore. And that attitude is, a vampire isn't a proper vampire if they don't follow traditional rules. These are the rules I'm going to use. I asked a couple of people if it seemed about right. Now, what people mean when they say traditional vampire is Dracula. I don't think a lot of people would argue with me on that. So we got strengths, shape-shifting, super strength, super speed. They can control the weather, control animals, control people they've bitten, and they can float or fly. For weaknesses, we've got garlic, an array of holy things. They must sleep in a coffin. They must be invited in before they can enter a building. And they burn in the sun. They don't burn in the sun. But that's what people think, so that's what I'm using. Okay. I am not counting not having a reflection because that doesn't hurt them or impede them, and I'm not counting being staked in the heart because that will kill anybody. There are folklore things, like needing to count seeds that are thrown at them on the ground, or silver, or having their shroud stolen, that I have not counted because Dracula doesn't seem to have those, and people don't usually complain that they're missing. Now we've established our rules, let's get on with it. The vampire-specific question is, are they a vampire? 2 points. Are they angsty? 3 points. Do they have less weaknesses than is traditional? 2 points per weakness removed. Do they have more powers than is traditional? 3 points per added ability. And are they a good vampire? 2 points. I have taken this to mean any power a vampire has that's not on the list incurs points. We'll start in order of publication, so Lord Ruthven is first. So Lord Ruthven's strengths are revives in moonlight, he inflicts bad luck, or he can somehow control luck, and there are no vampire weaknesses present at all that I can see. He gets shot, and then he dies like you'd expect someone to die if they've been shot and not been attended to, and then he revives and when he's put in the moonlight. So I presume he's just vulnerable to regular human things, but then he revives, so yeah. Next we have Carmilla. Carmilla has a power where if she grabs you, that part of you goes numb, and that can last some time or even be permanent. And she can walk through solid matter, or possibly she can just get through very small gaps. But I think it's through solid matter. She doesn't have any traditional vampire weaknesses, apart from she can't stand hymns, and she doesn't seem to be able to get past, like, holy rituals or protections. So I've sort of counted that all as one thing, just holy things. For Dracula, his extra powers, other than the ones I mentioned, are he's able to control unstable people. For example, he seems to be able to control Renfield. He gets younger with blood consumption. He can also walk up and down walls like friggin' Spider-Man. There's a point in the book where Jonathan's watching him out a window and he crawls down the wall like a lizard. It very much freaks Jonathan out. Dracula can also get through tiny gaps, and I'm counting this as an extra power. He can float on sunlight as dust, so like he can get in like through a window, like floating on the sunlight. And he has all of the weaknesses except he doesn't burn in the sun, not in the book. Okay, Ruthven scores 6 points for his extra powers and 10 points for every weakness that he doesn't have. Lord Ruthven's total is 18 points. Carmilla scores 6 points for added powers and 8 for weaknesses removed. So Carmilla scores 16 points. Now then, we use Dracula as our template, so Dracula should score barely anything, right? Well, too bad, because this is book Dracula, not movie Dracula. Let's do this thing. He scores 15 points for extra powers and 2 for removed weakness, because he doesn't burn in the sun. He just loses most of his powers, like his shape-shifting and super strength. No, really. Go read it. So he scores 19 points, making him the worst offender. We've got some scores, so let's see what the test says. So we've got 0 to 15, balanced character, good job. 15 to 25, acceptable but not humble. 25 to 40, getting into Sue territory. 40 to 50, good idea to reconsider, might be a Sue. And 50 plus, it's a Sue, burn it. So Lord Ruthven, Carmilla, and Dracula all fall into the 15 to 25, acceptable but not humble range, right? 18, 16, 19? No, you misunderstand. That's only the vampire question. There are a further 60 questions for characters to earn points and 30 to take away points. Don't worry, I'm only going through the relevant ones. There are 27 relevant questions. I'll go through them and show the points each vamp scored at the bottom. Does the character have an impressive sounding title? Are they exceptionally beautiful or handsome? Are they a chick magnet / dude magnet? Do they make friends easily? Is the character socially popular? Does the character have money for whatever they want, even if they have no day job or income? Are they fabulously wealthy? Is their whole family dead? Is this character meant to be an ideal? Do they have an unusually pleasant speaking voice? Does the character speak a foreign language fluently? Is the character very intelligent? Is the character related to royalty or nobility? Is the character not human? Is the character tough physically, emotionally, or mentally? Are they immortal? Then these are to take away points. Does the character have honest-to-goodness flaws? Does the character have something that detracts from their appearance? Any off-putting habits or manners? Does the character act distinctly non-human? Is the character honestly ugly or unattractive in looks or personality? Does the character have a fixation or obsession with something? Do they get a tragic or unhappy ending? That's it, that's all the questions. So Ruthven scores 21 points, then minus 9 points, and plus 18 vamp points, for a total of 30. Carmilla scores 27 points, minus 11 points, that makes 16, and adding 16 vamp points is a total of 32. Dracula scores 18 points, minus 13 points, relatively low total of 5, and then adds 19 points, so his total is 24. You'll notice that without the vampire question, they all score in the good job, or just barely into the acceptable but humble section. But the totals: Ruthven, 30, getting into Sue territory. Carmilla, 32, also getting into Sue territory. And Dracula, 24, just barely hanging on to acceptable but not humble. Right on the border of Sue territory, giving it the side eye. I would like to say I am linking the meme in the description because that is fair, as I have used the meme, but I wish no ill will on the writer. They fully admit that the vampire question is biased and that they don't care, and that the meme isn't a good measure of if a character is over the top or not. But I wanted to do this to highlight this attitude that a lot of people have, that their preference for movie Dracula as a vampire archetype is somehow a legitimate measure of if a vampire is a good character or not, is flawed. If you're wondering what Tyrion got, by the way, he got 48 points on the vampire question alone. He scored 26 on the rest of the test, plus minus 10, so his score is something like 16. And that's how badly skewed this is. I think if I'm honest, I'd shrug and say, yeah, maybe he's a little bit of a stew. But it's not, because he's not Dracula. Like, if you like your vampires based on Dracula, by the way, that is fine. Like, we all have preferences. But a preference isn't a valid criticism. You can't say, I don't like blue, so that blue dress is a terrible dress, ignoring everything else about it. Someone else who loves blue will love that dress. It's okay to not like the blue dress. It's not okay to tell people who like the blue dress that they suck and have terrible taste. I've said it before, vampires are not a special snowflake that we're not allowed to touch. No one complains if mermaids don't drown people, or fairies don't fear iron, or witches can't cross running water. Just let people have fun. If you don't like it, don't read it. Unless, of course, it's for YouTube, or you're just into that, obviously. You guys are the best for listening. Thank you. Have a good day, nerds.